welcome. My name is Sheba Kereere, and welcome to the very first of its kind, the Blueprint series. This is a conversation series for me that is very dear to my heart. And the reason being is that I would have wanted to have a template very early on in life. I feel my parents did the best that they could do. My community did the best that they could do. But I could really, I just think that all of us could use a template, which is again another definition for a blueprint, just so that we can go forward and faster in life. So I'm starting a conversation series. I'm going to be interviewing a variety of individuals who are excelling in different areas of their lives. Like, how did they do what they do? Or how did they get to where they are? What challenges did they go through? And how did they solve those things? Why? Because again, family, we're trying to get forward faster. So I actually have an in-person, we have a studio audience here. You can't hear them, but they're actually here. Yay. And then there's those of you who are actually going to be watching us on social media. So thank you so very much for being here. And so without further ado, I want to introduce my first guest. My first guest is also a dear friend of mine. She is an acclaimed artist and a certified architect. I don't know how she does both. So ladies and gentlemen, introducing Shiri Achu. Welcome, Shiri.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure. And family, I was saying earlier before off camera that this is not our first interview. I love interviewing her because we're friends and we have fun, right, Shiri?
Yes, we do. Yes. We're going to try and have fun today.
We're not trying. We are going to have fun. So I have a bit of a snippet of her biography, but we will be attaching her website, shiriachuart.com. Sorry.
Yes.
She is an architect. She is also, like I mentioned, an artist. So just a few things about her. She was born in Cameroon, and then your family moved to England when you were young for a very long time. So if you hear a little bit of a British accent, family, she's not faking it. Like some people I won't mention.
I hope it's like just a little bit. I like my British accent.
But yes, so born and raised in Cameroon. Born in Cameroon, raised in England, and now she lives in the United States. So she's a perfect example for this conversation about a blueprint because she's lived and is living now, you've lived on 3 continents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Cool things about her. You started painting at the age of 9.
Yes, I did.
I don't know about you all. I was drawing stick figures till recently, and even that, I don't know. But you've been painting since you were 9 years old, and that is amazing. So something else I also wanted to mention that you did start painting at 9, right? And that one of the aims of your art is to showcase the culture of Cameroon, where she's from, and other countries worldwide.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know, I happen to be Ugandan, East African, the house. Whoop, whoop.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
And so you also say that you love to paint because it's also to bring back fond memories to those of us in the diaspora. Your awards range from London to here in Washington, D.C. to you recently came back from Rome. Yes?
Yeah.
Any other continents I'm missing?
No. Cameroon.
And Cameroon. Okay. So Africa, Europe, United States. Oh, wow. North America. Sorry. I do know my geography. Yes. So, again, I'm so glad that you're here.
Yes.
I feel that you're one of those people who's a great person to interview, as we're having these conversations. So I'm going to dive first into my first conversation as we're talking about your blueprint, right?
Right.
So, having lived in, 3 continents, how has integrating been for you? Like, for people who either are having a hard time integrating or thinking of integrating to new places, what would you say are your tips of how have you successfully lived in 3 different places? And I'm knowing you're probably going to move to 4 or 4 others. So what are your tips for integration?
So I guess because the person I am, I love people. So it's, moving from Cameroon first to London, whilst I was very young, and moving from London to here, because I love people, I love to understand what, everyone is about and understand the culture, understand, the ways of being in that particular country. So as for me, it's easy for me to integrate quite fluently, quite easily. But for others who don't have that sense of love for people, I really love people. I guess it's about, just making sure that you're aware of, being able to move around, like knowing like the ways of accessibility, just having the being able to just be comfortable in a city, in a new place, is very key. But of course, if you're going to be moving around, you have to start learning how to be with people and asking questions and learning about, certain things for you to be able to feel like you can, be present and live well in that city.
A lot of what I'm hearing is about respecting the new place you're going to.
Yes.
So you don't have to become it,
Yes.
but you have to like sort of have a respect and an understanding.
Correct.
Right?
Yes. Correct.
Which is a great transition to my next question. Okay, so for many of us who are here in person, we are African immigrants, right? Or children, shall I say, we're second or third or fourth, whatever generation it is of Africans we are. This wasn't my parents. Mommy, if you're watching, I'm not saying this to you. But I'm just saying for many people, their parents wanted them to do the traditional thing. You're the lawyer, the banker, the doctor, the whichever. So how did your parents, well, how did that go in your household?
Okay.
Did they encourage architecture over
Right.
art? Because, art, it's like you're a struggling artist, or is it, I mean, you're not a struggling artist, but I'm saying, how did that happen? Like, how did that go in a typical
my
African,
household. Right.
household?
So fortunately for me, my household is not typical. My mother actually, she saw my love for painting and she encouraged it. She actually got me tutors to teach me perspectives and, so she developed my skill at such a young age. And when I went on to do architecture, she was like, she actually said, why are you going to do architecture? You really want to do art, eh? But I'm like, I want to also be an architect. I also want to do both. So I guess maybe because she had 6 children and she was like thinking of
Wait, hold
this.
on. There's 6 of you?
We're 6 of us.
One lady?
Yes.
You should buy your mom a car.
It's actually their 50th anniversary.
Oh, yay,
Coming
this
up.
year?
Yes,
Oh,
coming up
wow.
very soon.
Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Achu. Those are the next people I want to interview. Like, how did they make it to 53 this day and age? Wow.
50, yes.
Okay.
So I guess she was probably thinking, okay, this is 7 years, architecture is a 7-year degree. And she's like, oh, do I have the bandwidth?
And the cost.
And the cost. So she's probably trying to tell me, can you just do the art? But I said, no, I want to do architecture too. So I ended up, doing that. But she saw that I really loved, painting and she encouraged it.
What about your dad?
My dad is very level-headed, and because all the other children were very sensible and accountants and so she to have a one-off, to have a
You have a wink, wink. The black
Exactly.
sheep was really
It's
the
okay.
golden. No,
It's
the
okay.
golden sheep. Let's call
Yes,
it golden. I don't
golden
like that
sheep.
phrase,
Yes.
black sheep.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
okay.
it was okay.
You are the golden sheep.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
If that's a compliment.
It is. It is. I don't like it when we say black sheep because it seems like you're really. I mean, I get it. You're the. Yeah. Anyway.
But we're 2 artists in my family. Though I have my younger sister who's a singer. So
yes, you do.
Yes.
Yes, you do. You do.
2. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that also helps because then you have 2 of you who are like going at it in the creative route. So at
Correct.
least it's not just like one of you and everybody else is doing the traditional roles.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So my parents were amazing in terms
very
of
encouraging.
encouraging. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to have a variety of people watching our video. Anyone who maybe right now is still living under the roof of their parents, or maybe some of them in the younger generation, how do they, what are your tips for how do they express themselves to their families that they don't want to be the traditional thing, but they want to do something like whether it's art or singing or whatever it is?
I should hope by now that most parents understand that despite the fact that you have degree or you're a doctor, they are influencers that make 10 times, 100 times more money than they are, social media people who make 10 times. There are people who can, create something and make 10 times more than the traditional doctor.
And they're happier,
And
girl.
they're happier.
They're happier.
So I'm hoping by now most parents have seen that and can now allow their children to, to excel and do what they wish to do. Because you can be the nurse and you can be the doctor, but be miserable and make money, but still not going to be enough compared to the footballers. Come on, think about how much a footballer makes.
Listen, that's a conversation for another day.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Okay, so as we were saying in your bio, and I also know you personally, you are doing 2 things.
Yep.
Most people go after one primary gift. You are both skilled and gifted. You're an artist and an architect. How are you balancing the 2 things? Because most of the time in life we're told, oh, pick whatever the primary thing and go for that, right? So in your situation, How are you right now? I love how you just didn't say, hey, I'm just going to focus only on art, or I'm just going to focus on architecture. How are you doing two things?
It's funny because I've always wanted to be both. Like
Oh,
I said
wow, that's amazing.
initially, yes, I wanted to. Okay, so I started painting when I was 9. I knew I had to be a painter, um, and I sold my first painting when I was 18, just before I went to do architecture
Like for real money?
for real money. Yes,
Wow, that's
yes,
amazing. Like British pounds?
yes, yes. So I knew that I really wanted to be both. Like I didn't want to be just an artist, and to say just doesn't. I didn't want to be an artist only. I didn't want to be an architect only. I wanted to be both, and because they're intertwined in a way, they're both creative. You know, I find I can I could do that quite easily. Yeah.
No, I totally understand. You know this. I speak and I write
Yep.
and I'm edit and all that stuff. And
Yep.
so sometimes it's interesting how people put us in boxes,
Yep.
or maybe we're taught to think that way.
Yep.
And I like you, I'm so glad that I'm from an environment where it was very free flowy.
Yep.
Because maybe sometimes the things we think are opposite are not even like really opposite.
Yes.
So just food for thought for those of you who are listening to Shiri and myself. You just don't have to be one thing.
Yes.
And I think people need to have a new perspective.
Yep.
Because maybe the things that you think are opposing are actually not opposing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
it all goes together.
But
I
that
think.
said, you also have to know that you're going to have to put in a lot of work. Like, I
Yes.
finish for Mark 1, I come back home and I'm painting, or I'm doing, they'll spend my weekends. If you want that like leisure and not having to, like an easy, relaxed life, I guess
They pick one thing.
perhaps it's best to have the one thing.
Right. Okay. Okay.
But if you like to have challenges and have stimulus in your life, then of course you can see if you can manage the two. Yes.
Another great transition to my next question. So, those of you who are watching, Shiri, like we mentioned, she is an architect, she's an artist, she's also a mom. And so, next question is balance. I don't even know if I should use that word because some people say that word never exists.
Yep.
How are you balancing? And I know you personally, and I know like you just returned right now from Rome.
Yep.
So, how are you balancing? There's the full-time job, there's the
Yep.
art projects,
Yep.
then there's also family life, right?
Yes.
You have children, you also have your own
Yes.
siblings and your parents
Yes.
and all this stuff.
Yes.
But how are you balancing? I don't know if balance is the right word, how are you doing it? I think that's the question I'll ask.
So again, I have an amazing family. My siblings help quite a lot. So the times when I need to disappear and I have to do things that they will quite willingly and help me out. Take care of them. The father is there who takes care of them. But I also find that I'm having to integrate them in my world a little bit. So if I have an exhibition, for example, I'll bring them along. I'll have them help me carry things. I'll have them, if I sell a thing, I'll have them help me wrap it up. So I'm beginning to integrate them so that they're part of my, my everyday life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also a good way to, I think, build entrepreneurship or for them to get
Exactly.
work ethic. I think that's also another
Exactly.
way of looking
Exactly.
at it. So that it's not
Yeah.
like, oh, mommy goes out and does
Yes,
this, but
exactly.
we are also part of the process, which I know
Exactly.
you have a teen or preteen. He's
Yes,
preteen.
he's a teen. He's a
Yeah,
teen.
so I can
He's a
imagine. We're going to pray for Shiri because the
Yes.
hormones must,
Exactly. Exactly.
must be all going crazy.
Exactly. Yes.
But
they
at
have
the
gone
same
crazy.
time,
I
yes.
hope they've come back.
They will come
There was a
back, in
time
Jesus'
when they go and they
right? But I love
Yeah.
how you're integrating them
Yeah.
with all of
Yes,
that.
yes, yes.
So let's talk a little bit about exhibits before I open up the floor to if
Yeah.
anyone has any questions here. So exhibits, you have done exhibits. I don't even, maybe Under the Sea is the only place you haven't done exhibits. So give us an example. Where have you done exhibits? What are the themes like? How do you
Okay.
come up with themes
Oh,
and
I
all
see.
that?
So some years ago, when I did my very first exhibition, when I finished architecture, I had my first exhibition. It was called the 30th Act, and that exhibition had 30 pieces. And then 5 years later, I realized people loved my work, but they were always so big and so expensive. So people were, during the year, I listen. I tend to, this is one of the things that you also need to do when you're an entrepreneur. You need to listen to what your people are telling you. So I had a lot of people tell me, Shiri, we love the painting, but it's too big. This is in England anyway, because houses in England are much smaller. So it's too big, too expensive. So what I started doing was making prints of my work. So when I did 35 in print, that was my very first in print series of exhibitions. back end of the story of imprint series. I actually woke up one day and, it was downloaded to me that Shiri, you will go to country and you will exhibit your imprint series of exhibitions, and you will expose Africa culture this way. So then I said, so that's when I did my very first imprint series of exhibition in London. And my goodness me, I sold like 18 pieces.
Oh, wow.
You know,
in one night or one evening?
In the whole 1 week.
In a week, okay.
No,
sorry,
1 week
yeah,
long
okay,
exhibition.
Okay.
So, but considering my very first exhibition, which were all originals, and I sold like 3, this was so much
progress,
better.
right?
Exactly.
Yes, yes.
And because they were now prints, they were more accessible,
Ah.
they are more affordable, they're
Yeah.
not transportable.
Yeah.
So when I did London, 35 in print, then I came to DC and I did 36 in print in DC, then I did 37 in Australia, then I did Jamaica, then I did Toronto, and then, so I did a worldwide exhibition as well because during the COVID. So every year I moved to a different country and I exhibit, pieces. And the aim, of course, is to not only promote Cameroon, but it's to promote, all the different African countries. So, for example, if there's, I do paintings of the Adinkra symbol from Ghana. And now when I'm having my exhibition, I express this is called an Adinkra symbol. This is how they used to communicate many years ago. So that way, people are getting to understand a little bit more about Africa culture through my work. And if I take it into Australia, someone knows what the Bafokeng people look like. They know what the cloth is. They know what, so that to me is really fulfilling because I'm educating people, even if it's just snippets and bites. So I would love to do something, from Tanzania or from Kenya.
Yeah, I was about to say we haven't seen anything
So
from
of course,
East Africa,
of
but
course,
it's okay.
I will. It's coming. It's coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love how, honestly, if from the outside looking in, your life is so chaotically busy,
Yes.
but somehow all beautifully. And I love how you, like I said, you're integrating the children and
Yeah.
work life
Yeah.
and family and all of
Yes.
those things. Now, in case some of you have noticed, we do have some of Shiri's beautiful paintings actually around us. So, Shiri, very briefly, tell us what's happening here on this gorgeous, gorgeous. This is one of my
your
faves.
favorite
One of my
paintings.
favorites. I have 2 favorites, but yes, this one that is
So
to
the
my left.
author of this, so this is the book cover. And the author would, of course, love hearing you say that. That is her favorite. That is your favorite painting. So the book is called Our Voices.
Okay.
So this was created for a lady who made this book, and she needed a cover, so I created that. And this one also is another book cover, which is actually released very now. Actually, this is called, what's the name of the book?
I don't know, girl.
Black or white? It's black, it's white.
We will link it later
Yes,
on the
yes,
video.
yes,
Yes,
yes.
don't worry about it.
And,
we creatives, our minds wander sometimes. Yes. And then my other favorite painting.
Yes. This is this is just, I think I like to leave. It's quite obvious what this is.
No, tell us what, because I may have a different interpretation. What is it?
Oh, really?
Yes.
It's a proud childbearing, very excited. Well, even though you don't see the excitement, but she's protective.
Yeah.
Of her soon to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
It speaks volumes. I don't even know if the camera is going to do it justice, but for me, it's one of those that just speaks so many volumes of productivity and fertility, and it's just gorgeous. Yeah. Last question for me before I hand it over. What is the process like for painting? Like, how do you come up with the themes or the ideas, and then what's that like from beginning to end? In a nutshell.
In a nutshell. Can I use the word intuition? Mm-hmm. Like I know what I have to paint, and I know how it has to be done. And I know, I can't explain the process. It's just how I know that I have to do it.
So the person who came to you with this book, they just gave you the concept and you just run with it. You in your mind, you have an idea.
She gave me a concept. She gave me an image, and then I told her, no, but we should use you. So it's actually her.
It is?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know. I've never met her before.
If you see her, you will know that it's her. It's actually her.
Really?
And then and then I said, okay, give me your colors. Tell me your color. And then I work with what she gives me. Mm-hmm. But she gave me an idea of what she would, like. She wanted abstraction. our voices are abstracted. Our voices are not, so I think that's why she wanted fragmentation in that painting. So it sort of works well with the title of our book. Yeah, but these are because the authors gave me a direction.
Understand.
Yeah.
I love how fluid you are, and I hope this is also another encouragement to. I feel your template.
Yep.
You don't just do like that piece that's behind
Right,
you. It's
right,
just
right.
Frameable art.
Yeah.
You do books. You
Yes.
do other things.
Yes.
I'm waiting to see your art in movies. By the way,
Woo, woo, woo.
yes.
Oh, there is
And
a movie.
there is a movie, but I don't think you
but
can talk
I
about
won't
it, can
tell
you?
you yet.
Yes.
Okay, no.
So I was just saying, I think fluidity is another thing that I also pick up a lot from you.
Yeah, yeah.
As you can see, even the way she dresses and the things she does, I think it's beautiful to be fluid. And fluidity, I don't think it should just be limited to just the creative people. Well, I feel like we're all creative, but you know what I mean? Like, I think you can be anyone. And I think that's also another thing to add into the template conversation that we're talking about. Part of her blueprint is we're talking about fluidity. We talk about respecting cultures and different places where you go around the world.
Yes.
I like the one where you mentioned loving people.
Yes.
And maybe loving might be hard for some people. Let's go with liking, right? No, because I hear what you're saying. You can't up and move to a brand new place and you don't
You need to be able to communicate. You need to be able to
right.
to get involved in that
And I need to like
culture.
something about
Yes,
it. Right,
yes.
right.
'Cause otherwise, you'll be in your room. You could be anywhere in the world. You need to be able to come out and explore and be with those people and eat their food and move on their
Well, at least to
street.
try it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. That doesn't mean you
But
lose
it's-
yourself, but you try it.
No, you're not going to lose yourself because that's part of why move to this cliche room if you cannot be like the woman?
Right.
At least try. At least try. Even
Yeah.
if you cannot be fully, yes, we know that we cannot, but at least try. Like the world is big and beautiful.
Yeah.
Like we need to explore it. We need to engage in it. We need to, find the beauty in all the different aspects of it.
Yeah. I also think the more open we are with learning other people's culture, it opens up a window or a door for them to learn about our own.
Exactly.
Because then it actually,
Exactly.
as we like to say, it provides a seat at the table of the conversation.
Exactly. So that is one of the things that I love doing what I do because it helps break that boundary,
Yeah, and also art is one of those things, kind of like, let's say, music or food.
Yeah.
We happen to be, by the way, at Hakuna Matata Grill, and if
Yes.
you guys were here, you
so-
could smell the deliciousness, right, Shiri? It makes me
Yes,
hungry.
I cannot wait. Yes.
Yeah, well, as soon as we're done, we're diving in. They might kick us
exactly.
out of the kitchen.
Yes.
It is what it is. But yes, art is like, I think, like music and food, the things that break down barriers a
Yes.
lot faster.
Exactly.
So that's another thing. Again, as we're talking about the blueprint, I think these are things that, again, we're not saying anyone should lose their identity. So if you're African, stay African. If you're European, stay European. But it doesn't hurt. In fact, it benefits you, especially if you're going to move somewhere, as we were talking about earlier, to learn something about that culture and try new things, meet new people. Don't just stay in your own little community, right?
Yep.
I love that you can do different mediums. Like I said, you can do something, a cover of a book and then flip around and do something else that can hang on a wall. And if we're really looking at the paintings behind us, they all have different themes.
Yes.
But I think if I was to, your paintings breathe life. It's not just like, oh my gosh, that's great. It's actually something that is very, when you go to a gallery and you can stand there and I'm sure if we're three different people, we can all get three different things. Yes. But I love that for you, your thing was that you want to be free, you want to be fluid, you want to be emotive, but you also want things to point back to who you are and where you're from, and everything pointing back to Africa. But also showing something like this, which is modern Africa. And then also going and then doing the lady who's pregnant, right? On behalf of all of us, thank you so much for the work you're doing to promote. It's like you're an ambassador of Africa, and I love that. But you're not a typical ambassador, because I love that you're showing that we also come in different packages and have different sounds, right?
Yes.
We look different, we dress different.
Yes.
And thank you for just always educating and sharing who we are through your art. I love the fluidity. Thank you so much for sharing your template and your blueprint. But thank you so much to Hakuna Matata Grill. Thank you so much again to Shiri. Thank you for the in-person people who came today, our audience. Yay. Thank you so much for each and every single one of you who's watched this. I am going to ask you to do one thing for me though. hit that share button. Hit the share button and share. It's not about me. It's I love Shiri's story. We're going to keep having other people come here and share their blueprint. So again, I am your host, Sheba Kereere. This has been the first and the launch, right, Shiri? Yay! Of the Blueprint
you
series.
so
Thank you
much
so
for
much for
having
watching.
me.
Have a lovely one. I'll be back soon.